Right, so this flow is geared towards integrating handstands into your vinyasa practice. I'm assuming you already have a practice, you know how to establish breath, and you have some technique going on in your hands and your shoulders. Whether you can stabilize or not doesn't matter. You can walk as far through those doors as you want, or maybe you're just learning how to integrate. So from here, we'll start sitting. We won't stay sitting for long. Just close the eyes and establishing your breath connection. Gently lifting the pelvic floor and lifting the back of the throat. And seeing these 2 points as like the north and south pole of the spine. Muscles at the base are on the hips. Muscles at the top, deep neck extensors, back of the throat, creating that little ha sound. Hopefully feeling the behavior in your spine just kind of subtly change and lengthen and improve. The position of your neck and your head subtly change and lengthen and improve. And gently open the eyes as you circle out the shoulders a little bit, and feel free to just move the neck and wiggle around however you wish to. You're a little more curious about what's working, what's sticky, what's available, what's sleepy, what's awake. And bring that into some arching and curling. I'll just take the time to lengthen up. Take the hands forward and start to wake up your grips. So I'm going to grip and flick, waking up both the muscles in the front of the forearm and the back of the forearm, the muscles in the hand and in the fingers. Continuing to lengthen the spine and establish that breath. And take the arms out to the side, really pull it across the room. You can play here a little bit. Get some elastic conversations through the shoulders while you burn up the grips. Turn it palms face up. Keep working those grips. And notice how I've really got biceps up, palms open. Then I'm going to take it overhead and really encourage that rotation. So the more swiveled the shoulders, the more you'll be able to reach overhead. And heating up the hands for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Drop it down. So I'm going to go palms face up. I'm going to stretch the inside of the forearms because I'm sure they're talking back to you. So I'm going to open through the fingers, open through the palm, open through the forearm. Don't worry whether the heel of the hand lands or not. I'm keeping a soft release in the elbow, so I'm not jamming my elbow. Just hopefully cultivating more flexibility. So when you're doing your handstands, the more of this, the more you can fold your wrist, the better. Hopefully you can get 90 degrees here. If you can get even more, great. It'll make life easier. It will get more flexible over time. And just shake them off. So we're going to come to all fours. And as I mentioned in the little quick tip video, quick tip number 1, anytime your hands are on the floor, take this as an opportunity to really establish like you're getting ready for a handstand. So I'm going to grip, I'm going to light up all my forearms, I'm going to light up my upper arm and find as much isometric engagement. I'm not just chilling out here, this is work. Yeah. And then I'm going to come back to traditional movement is cat and cow as you exhale, zip the belly and push. Inhale, eyes up, tail up. As I mentioned in quick tip number 1 as well, whatever variation you're going for in the legs is going to determine a lot about the rotation in the hips and the core behavior. But The template that we're usually trying to refine is a straight handstand, a pencil straight handstand with the legs together, toes pointing up at the air. It's actually the most challenging variation, but you learn the most. So even if that's not available, if it's much easier for you to stabilize with a split, that's cool. We're still going to do the drills that build up the straight handstand because it's the most technical variation. So I'm going to cat a little bit. I'm not looking all the way down at my belly button. My neck is still free. I'm looking in between my hands, but I have handstand arms, so by now my forearms are getting tired. I'm going to zip my belly, and I'm going to take my right leg back. And here's where we find a situation that we come across in a handstand. So when I raise my leg, it makes me want to buckle open. So now I have to use that cat action. I got to hollow up through the belly while I keep the leg in the air, which will lower the leg a little bit. So then I'm going to work the leg a little more, which wants to open the belly. So I'm both lifting the front body and engaging the back body. So there's a real isometric stability going on. So you got to wake up your glute and you got to wake up the six pack. And my hands are awake, gripping the floor. And release down, take the other leg back. So really sparky leg. The more those flying legs can manage your own body weight, the clearer mental map you have of that flying leg, the more stable you'll be when you're upside down. So I'm going to raise that leg and I'm going to crunch. Now my hands and my forearms are getting properly tired. And coming back to the breath and just testing my attention span here. This is super simple but super strong. The longer you can stay and breathe, this means you can hold, you can juggle all these things in your attention when you're upside down. And release. Good. Curl up the toes. Wiggle out the shoulders. So that looks really simple, and it's technically really simple, but it's really challenging to give it the effort and the gusto that you need when you're both holding your body weight and multitasking where you are in space when you're upside down. So we'll come up to downward dog. Set the hands, grip, get this isometric firming up through the arms. Roll the shoulders out nice and wide, lift up to your dog. Pedal off the legs, send the femurs back, play with the heels. And we'll do a bigger version of that same concept. So I'm going to take my right leg up into the air. I'm going to roll up onto my tippy toes. I'm going to curl and cat. Notice how I'm rainbowing my way forward. And as I roll into a plank, I'm keeping a little bit hollow bodied, and yet I'm raising that flying leg. If I raise it too high, blurp. This is the behavior when you get a banana back. So I'm going to six pack to keep more of a straight line. And I know this is different because we're not raising overhead, but it's still good core and leg awareness. The shoulder position will be different when you're upside down, obviously. Good, now that flying leg pulls you back up to your dog. Drop your head. Both feet on the floor as you wiggle it out. And take the left leg up. So really engaged, long, sparky left leg. Roll up onto your tippy toes. Cat the spine forward. Hollow up through the six pack. Your head reaches forward past your fingers. The more you can get out of your wrists, so maybe 90 degrees, maybe more. And keep lifting that leg, but watching not too much of this, not too much of this. Trying to get that equilibrium. And that flying leg pulls you back up to your dog. And wiggle the foot down, pedal off. And again, drop to kneeling. Open up the soles of the feet while we take a moment to wiggle out the spine and roll the shoulders and play with the wrists. So as we build up our flow, I'm sequencing to do three things. Start to work the shoulders, test that core stability, and then open the hamstrings. So the more you can open the back of the legs, the easier, the less work it'll be to hop up, and you'll see why. So we'll come to downward dog. And I'm just going to animal walk my hands back to my feet first time. And I'm not really worried about straight legs right now, but since we're still warming up, I'm just going to drop the head, wiggle out the spine, and say hi to these rubber bands down the back of the legs. And if you're real flexible and it looks straight, awesome. If the knees are bent, that's totally fine too. Personally, I'm going to wiggle around before I get real static again. I'm going to push the floor, come on up. Whether you evolve or come up with a flat back, it's all good. Turn palms and biceps up as you reach overhead. And the hands come back to center. Good. So we'll do a little drill standing here, heating up the shoulders and keeping that attention in the core. So I'm going to bring my feet together. Got one leg instead of two little legs, rubbing the toes together. I'm going to do that same gymnast hollow body, that desh shape. So I'm going to curl my abs back, and I'm going to tuck my bum under, so I'm kind of looking to lengthen the lumbar curve. I'm going to take the arms up, so I'm reaching in the ceiling, and I'm tucking down. This is the behavior of your core and your hips, so when you're trying to do a straight handstand, it's going to look more like this maybe, but you're working here. So I'm going to hold this shape, and then my hands are going to swivel palms forward, and I'm going to keep anchoring the lower body while I just bounce my shoulders back. And this is going to challenge my ability to keep the stability in the core. So you'll want to do this. But try to anchor, use your six pack, use your bum. Think of ribs and pelvis as one anchored unit so that the shoulders are moving, reaching up. So I'm going to stay for as long as I feel I can maintain the quality of movement. Again, I'm testing the attention span of my core while I'm heating up my shoulders. And there's a little recoil in the fascia of the shoulders. It's like you're dribbling a basketball. There's bounce, bounce, bounce. It's not effort to return the hands forward, but it's effort to bounce back, 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 back. Heating up the back of the shoulders, reaching overhead. So this is what we didn't do when we were planking. So I'm going to chill. You can stay there for longer if you want, and you can repeat that movement if you want. And just wiggle it out in contrast. And so separate out the feet. Take the arms up. I'm going to turn my thumbs down. I'm going to pull my neck nice and long as I really lift through that little hoss sound in the throat. I'm going to collect my elbows forward. Reach your elbows up. So I'm hoping to bring awareness to the back of the shoulders. I'm hoping to keep my neck nice and long and free. I'm teaching my shoulders to rise up without interfering with my posture. And then I'm going to take the arms up. So there should be some good work, some good awareness, some activation into the shoulders. And sink into your lightning pose. Keep that activation in your shoulders. Since we're so aware of the tendency to banana back here, zip your six pack as you sink back into the hips. This is another one of those sandwiching front and back body conversations. And waterfall down, hands on the floor. Say hi to the long legs. Good. And then I'm going to animal walk forward into downward dog. Way up on the tippy toes. Start by zipping like you're zipping a tight pair of jeans. Curl the bum under. Cat your way forward. And then open that cat just a little bit so your head can come forward. Check in. Can you get 90 degrees out of the wrists? Or maybe a little more. And I'm just going to play a couple times as I continue to build awareness. Stabilizing around the hips and the core. Making sure I'm not holding my breath. Notice how my ankles are working. Keep the elbows close. It's up to you if you do a press up. Personally, I'm going to save my strength for the straight arm stuff. We'll do a bent arm practice another day. But if you love your press ups, take them. I'm going to roll the shoulders, Bring my hands back. Grip and peel into a couple of cobras. Giving the shoulders a chance to loop back. And just kind of massaging through the spine. And pull the shoulders back. Upward dog. And keep the arms straight as you dive and tuck. Roll through that cat shape. Lengthening back to your downward dog. So I mentioned earlier that long hamstrings is going to save you some effort. So I'm going to grip the floor and I'm going to keep my hands heavy. So I'm still keeping that isometric intention to push the floor and grip the floor as I slowly tiptoe. And the longer my hamstrings, the more I can keep my bum in the air. Leaning, maybe you get 90 degrees out of your wrist, maybe you get a little more, but as I tiptoe towards the top of the mat, I'm trying to get as upside down as I can, and the longer the hammies, the easier that's going to be. And eventually you find yourself forward folding at the top of your mat. Encouraging a more vigorous stretch down the back of the legs. Whether you evolve or you come up with a flat back, use those engines underneath you. As you reach overhead, go palms, biceps up, really intentionally. Inhale. Exhale, hands come back to center. Then, so glue the feet together. Swivel the palms and the biceps up. I'm going to lace my grip, get tall, and again, hollow body shape. So I'm slightly tucked under. I'm not super crunching. My legs are straight, but I've got this front and back body sandwich. Again, very stabilizing. So I'm going to lengthen up and then arc over to the right hand side without losing the front and back sandwich. I'm just looking for a little more length here. This is really nice if we're using these really common, level 1, 2 poses as handstand prep. I'm really thinking about stabilizing that hollow body shape and then getting that range, that reach overhead, opening the triceps, serratus, intercostals, and peel up, switch your grip, reestablish, and arc up and over the other side. So I'm being really meticulous to anchor the legs in the core, good attention span here, good attention span here, good attention span here. Then my arms are pulling over and stretching the right side of the ribs, triceps. Peel up, peel up, peel up. I'm going to reverse and counter for a second, separate out the feet a little bit. Lace the hands around back behind you, one hand pulls against the other. As you draw the shoulders down your back, massage the top of the neck a little bit. Lift the hands up off your tail. Bend the knees, sink into a little lightning pose, rock back into the heels, melt, bow, melt the spine. Don't worry about straight legs just now. We'll get into that in a second. But first, make sure you got a nice drip down through the spine. Nod your head, yes, shake your head now. Then really start to work the grip up and over as you open into the shoulders. Now, as a bonus, if you've got a good fold, if your belly is still on your thighs, then you can think about straightening the legs. And the more you can kind of sharply hinge from the hips, the more you can push the floor, the longer the legs, the deeper the fold. It'd be awesome if your belly and ribs are still on your legs. This is going to help your handstands. I'm going to drop the hands on the ground. All 10 fingertips can hit the floor. Inhale, long spine. Consciously shift into your hands and just take a little moment here. So again, I'm going to borrow my practice to keep hammering the 3 things I want to drill for my handstands. I'm gripping, I'm getting that isometric intelligence in the shoulders, I'm using the core, I'm boosting my hips, and the longer my hamstrings, the easier, the more I can get out of the wrist. Hopefully at least 90 degrees, if not more. If your head can lean forward even more, awesome. It's not required, but if you have the range of motion, please work into it. Good. And then lean, think plank arms. Take a moment here and just tap dance and play. So your weights on your hands, your weights in your hands, and then step or hop as you like back to a plank. Good. Set this hollow body plank. Find your way through upward dog to downward dog. So noticing how we're subtly changing a familiar flow to be more oriented towards getting upside down. And so we'll switch gears for a second. Take your right leg up into the air. Bend your flying knee. Flip your belly open as you twist your dog. So I'm just going to check in with my left knee and make sure it's not collapsing. So my kneecap is still pointing straight out the top of the mat. You can bend and straighten that standing leg as you bring a stretch through the inner thigh. And then as you settle here, pay attention to the flying leg. Goof around with that flying leg. Bend it, straighten it, draw circles with the knee. Take a little experimental moment here. And then we'll come back and switch sides. We'll ground the feet, lengthen out. Take the left leg up, bend the knee, flip it open. First, just kind of spring off your standing leg. Still testing the tension span, hands, shoulders, nice on the spine. And then goof around with the flying leg. And come back to the breath. I'm just playing with the hips here. And pivot back around. Wiggle out your downward dog. And then from here, you're going to take the right leg up into the air, roll up on the tippy toes. Now stay upside down as you bring your knee into your chest. So I'm trying to glue my thigh to my belly and I'm still upside down. And then I'm going to kick back up to the sky. I'm still upside down as I bring the knee into the chest. Kick up to the sky. And then finally, I'm going to bring my knee into the chest and I'm going to roll cat forward and step into the hands. So notice those little reps were different than what we usually do. I'm going to rock back. I'm going to press and roll up. Inhale, reach overhead, and just spring off those legs a couple times. Each time I reach overhead, I'm really thinking about the activation in the shoulders. As I calm the breath and play with our familiar crescent lunges. Lengthen up, bend the front knee, wiggle the back leg a little bit longer, and then I'm going to pitch to a diagonal. And I'm trying to heat up my right hamstring, so I'm really digging through that heel. I'm heating up this leg so I can stretch it out a little more. And I'm also questioning if reaching forward is like this. So lift through the core, get a little bit of that dish, tuck the pelvis under a little bit. Your head and your fingers are reaching forward and your back leg is anchoring back. And I'm really trying to heat up my front leg. I'm going to lift my big toe. So the base knuckle's on the floor, but I'm lifting my big toe. And I find that really heats up the hamstring a little more for 3, 2, 1. And then I'm going to melt it down. I'm going to drop the back knee, flatten out the foot. I'm going to lift the front toes and really start to find this rubber band conversation. Now, whether it's available to you to sit on your back foot or not is kind of beside the point. You can get a great stretch up here too. Since I can comfortably sit, I'm going to sit. I'm just going to really start to cultivate a longer right hamstring. And come back to the breath. And gently rock forward. I'm going to pick up the back knee. I'm going to take the hands. I'll shift because I'll probably go off camera. So notice how my hands are going to creep forward. I'm making a bit of a tripod here. I'm going to shift into my hands. And then my free leg is my pendulum. The leg on the floor is a little hopper. And notice how if you can step so close. If you can have a long hamstring in space here, I've already saved myself a lot of hop. If your knee is bent, you just have more hop. So if your knee is bent and you have a big hamstring stretch, you can still do this work. But if you can straighten out your leg, you're going to save yourself this much effort of jumping. And just play with some little hops. If you stabilize here, I'm aware of I have a piano overhead, so I can't cartwheel out, so I'm not going to be too cheeky. This is our first little handstand hop opportunity. Good. Then step back to your lunge, slide your hands back, kick up to the sky, and pedal off the legs. And take the left leg up, roll and curl, but keep the hips in the air. So notice how I'm pushing, my bum is in the air. Take your left leg back up, way up on the tippy toes, curl the knee into the chest, keep the bum in the air. So I guess what I'm training is that my ribs and my thigh are together. Kick up, curl, thigh on the ribs, roll forward, step into the hands, rock back, roll up. Palms and biceps swivel open as you travel and sink into the back knee. So again, there's loads of tips and tricks for actually stabilizing handstands. I'm trying to keep it fluid and not break down into a workshop. I'll do handstand workshop stuff, but you can see where the opportunities to play and hop and fall and try again and experiment and learn. And then eventually it becomes a stabilized handstand. So I'm going to turn palms up, biceps up. I'm going to bend the front knee, my back leg lengthens back. And as I lean to the diagonal, I'm going to shoot my pelvis neutral relative to this diagonal. I'm going to dig my heel so I'm really heating up the left hamstring. I'm going to reach up and I'm going to make sure that I have some of that hollow body, some of that hugging out through the six pack, through the solar plexus. I'm going to make sure I have breath in the ribs. So pitching on a diagonal, making it as awkward with the line of gravity, as heated with the line of gravity as I can so that we can warm up and stretch. 3, 2, 1, melt it down, drop the back knee, relax the back foot, flip the toes, just play with this rubber band. If you're up here folding, great. If you have the range to sit on your heel, sit on your heel. That's kind of a different story. You might like to be a little more straight and linear. I like to wiggle a lot in my practice because I feel like you're discovering little spots that were hiding in the shadows. And then gently roll forward. Pick up the back knee. So bring the hands slightly forward so you have that tripod shape. You can modify your back leg stance. The back leg is staying straight. And the more you can jackknife upside down, the closer your hands can be to your foot, the more pitched up, the more you're saving work. This is saving work. This kind of shape is going to be a lot more work because now I have to throw my hips this much further forward. But find your shape and just horse around. More little hop here. Come on back to your lunge. Pull out your hands, bring them in, kick to the sky. Pedal off the legs. And either chilling out, taking rest, or traveling once more through plank, upward dog, downward dog. Be where you want to be in your practice. fun downward dog. I'm just going to come down to sitting for a second. We won't stay sitting for long. So you can hop through or you can drop to all fours. Good. And I'm going to take the legs out a little bit wide. I'm going to high five the feet. I'm going to reach up overhead. I'm going to lean into the hips. And I'm really going to anchor my pelvis back. So you're going to ground down, reach up, lean to a bit of a diagonal. There's a lot of scoop up through the belly. I'm still thinking hollow body as a fold. Reaching, and the hands melt down. As you come into a forward fold, however deep it works for your body. Continuing to get that overhead reach. Lengthening down the spine and down the back of the legs. And after a few breaths in this wide-legged forward fold, you're going to roll up. We'll do a bit of seated core work here before we come back into the arms. So I'm just giving the arms a break. So I'm going to bring the knees in. And first, you can hug the back of the thighs, you can hug the knees, whatever works for you. I'm going to stay up on the sit bones and find equilibrium here. And then I'm going to you can catch the big toes and flare the feet, or you can catch your pinkies and flare the feet, whatever suits you. But I'm going to slowly take the legs up. Now if the hamstrings are tight, ground, you're going to stay here. Maybe you can lengthen out and take straighter legs. Notice I'm keeping the V shape for now. I'm drawing the shoulders down the back and lifting the heart. Then I'm going to bring the legs together, big toe joints connect. At this point, if you roll onto your back, that's okay. And try to come back up. I'm going to try to stay up on my sit bones, pull and lift through the heart, kick out through the heels. Good. And then see if I can let go of my hands and keep this strong V shape. Now if you got to bend the knees, bend the knees. If you can, take the arms up into the air. So again, we're testing our overhead activation. Now I'm going to slowly, slowly, slowly roll down. Tail, sacrum, lumbar, and keep this low hollow body shape. Now you might be able to reach further back than I can. You might be able to take the legs lower down than I can. I'm going to hammer this hollow body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just relax. I'm going to step on the feet, bridge up, roll the shoulders down the back. And slowly vertebrae disc, vertebrae disc, vertebrae disc down. Feet go a little bit wider. Toes can find the edges of the mat. Just windshield wiper out. So, because handstands are isometric and physically demanding, it's very much like heat and then recover, catch your breath. Heat and then recover, catch your breath. So I'm going to roll up. We caught our breath. I'm going to make my way back to downward dog. If you know how to roll through, roll through. If you don't know how, that's cool. We'll meet up with each other in downward dog. And take the right leg up into the air. Way up on your tippy toes. So I'm going to stay upside down, bring the thigh to the ribs, then roll and curl, step into the hands. I'm going to animal walk around to the right hand side, continuing to fold. Push the floor, peel your way on up. Inhale, reach the arms out, turn your right knee forward, play with the legs a little bit, open into warrior two. So my intention with this video is to see how handstands and how that technique integrates into your familiar practice. So we'll take a couple familiar poses. From warrior two, turn that right hand palms face up, Reverse your warrior two. I like to wrap my arm around the back of my waist, reminding that front hip to keep sinking in as you arc back. And from your reverse warrior, melt down, rest your forearm on your femur. Take your favorite side angle stretch variation. You might stay here. You might reach up. You might turn your palm and reach overhead. You might bring your hand down to the floor. You might head for the bind. You might have other variations. Good. I'm going to unravel. I'm going to lift my back heel. I'm going to drop the back knee. Take a moment to lengthen out that front hamstring and bow. Not for long. Rock forward. Plug in your hands. Pick up your front leg and kick to the sky. So here's another way to integrate handstands into your flow. My left leg's on the floor behind me. I'm going to walk my hands back, back, back so that I have this tripod shape. I'm kind of close to a wall, but I'll make do. So here, now I have a chance to take a handstand at the back of my mat. So I'm going to get my tripod shape, hands, shoulders, zip the belly. This leg in the air is taking care of its own weight. You might stabilize, you might not. Practicing, building awareness. Good. And then come back to this tripod shape. Animal walk your hands forward. So you're coming back into your three-legged dog. Drop the foot pedal out. And take the left leg up. Roll and cross step into the hands. I'm going to turn so that I don't move away from you guys. You're just going to animal walk around to the right hand side. So that you turn into your wide-legged forward fold. And then press, find your way on up, strong legs. Take your arms out to either side. Turn your left knee, left toes. Playing with your warrior two. Reach back as much as you charge forward. Good. Just marking this warrior two. Turn your left hand palms face up. Reach and reverse this warrior. So that wrapping hand reminds your hips to sink in. This reaching arm helps peel the rib cage, so seeing this as an opportunity to keep working that overhead intention. And one more breath here. And gently melt, bow forward. Forearm on the femur. Rotate open and take your favorite side angle stretch variation. You might stay here. You might take that arm up. You might continue to swivel, opening your shoulders as you reach overhead. You might bring the left hand to the floor. You might head into the bind. Good. So looking down, I'm going to unravel, lift my back heel so I can square into a lunge, drop the back knee, take a moment to lengthen out, take a moment to deepen the breath and collect a little energy for a handstand opportunity. And rock forward, pick up the back knee, plant your hands, kick to the sky. Good. So you're going to keep the leg that's in the air. That's going to be your pendulum. Walk your hands back until you get as long into the hamstring as you can find. That creates the space. I'm going to load. Hopefully I can get 90 degrees over the wrist, maybe a little more. So the more up in the air I already am, the less I have to hop and just play. You might stick it, you might fall. You might take loads of little hops. When you're done playing, animal walk forward, extended your back into your downward dog. Drop the foot down, pedal off the legs. And roll up on the tippy toes. Zip and curl forward. Plank to the floor. Roll upward dog. Press and zip. Downward dog. Good. So I'm going to flip around from this downward dog. I'm going to take the right leg up into the air. Flip open, little long stretch. And then immediately come up onto your tippy toes. Zip and curl, bring that thigh onto the rib cage. Roll forward and step into the hands. Animal walk around towards the center of the mat. One-legged forward fold. And if you have a headstand practice, now's the time to review those hip positions. If you looked at my headstand video, you can see how different variations in the leg require different rotations in the hips. Same is true when you're in your hands instead of your head. And come on up. I would reach the arms out, turn your front knee forward, open into warrior two. Just for a moment, reverse your warrior. Right hand palms up. Reverse, lengthen out that long right hand side of the body. Bow forward once more, lean into a side angle stretch. Rolling open, lift your face, sink into the hips. I'm just going to take this back arm up. I'm going to lift into an activated triangle pose. Heating up the legs, bringing that inner thigh conversation. And this hand slides down, maybe towards the floor. Open your triangle. You guys hopefully know the technique here. Good. Bend the front knee, lift your back heel, pivot back around, plant your hands, kick up to the sky, keep that flying leg nice and sparky, and we'll walk your hands back until you're loading into the wrist as much as you can. Leaning forward, one more opportunity to hop on this leg. We'll do one on the other side and then we'll start to chill. If you're getting tired and unstable, you're not the only one. Remembering that this is a long learning curve, long adventure. Woohoo! Fall, play, and we'll walk your hands back out to dog. Take the left leg up into the air. Roll and curl, step into the hands. Animal walk around to your right hand side. Slowly roll and peel up. Turn the left knee, left toes down the back of your mat. Fly the arms out, up through the throat as you open. Fully expand and then reverse. Palms up as you reach. Backhand wraps around the waist. Lengthening the side body. Bowing and folding and just using side angle as an opportunity to lift into triangle. So loads of core awareness. Drawing up through that front leg, folding as far as your hip socket will let you go. Opening, bringing the work down into the legs and out of the arms for a couple of breaths. And have a look down. Lift your back heel, pivot around. So you can shorten your stance a little if you want. I'm going to plug in my hands, kick to the sky. Left leg is super sparky. Walk your hands back. I'm going to come forward because there's a piano. You're going to set maybe 90 degrees, maybe more than 90 degrees. By now you really have to test the attention span of the hands, the shoulders, the core. playing with your hops. Moving around, learning how to fall. It's all part of it. Come back to downward dog. And wiggle it out. One more vinyasa. So drop to kneeling. Take a puppy pose. Really push the floor away as the forehead melts, so maybe looking forward, chin and heart melt. Using the opportunity, having built up all that heat, the tissues are more liquid. Using the opportunity to pour them into a new mold. Pour that structure into a more open ribcage position as you catch your breath here. And gently roll yourself up. Good. So I'm going to take the right leg back. I'm going to take the left arm forward. And we have this nice awareness that you should have a really sharp bird dog now as the belly's awake and that extending leg is awake. I'm going to bend that flying leg. I'm going to reach back and catch the toes. And I'm going to activate up into a little bound, a little bow variation here. Opening the left shoulder back, opening the front of the hip. So this represents starting to counterbalance all the closing of the front of the body, all the lengthening of the hamstrings. Now I'm going to lengthen the front of my right hip. And I'm really using this, go ahead and take this as an opportunity to massage into that left shoulder. So I'm kicking to pull my left shoulder open and then drop your head in contrast and maybe feel upper trapezius release a little bit on that left hand side, on that bound shoulder side. Release down. Wiggle out your all fours position. Take the left leg back, take the right arm forward, and just take a moment to sharpen this bird dog. I'll flip around so I'm not talking to the wall. So right here. And then I'm going to bend that leg. And I'm going to reach back and use this to activate the body in the opposite direction that we have been. So I'm opening the front of my left hip. And I'm opening the front of my right shoulder. And just adjust, micro adjust, explore into the nooks and crannies. I'm really going to use the kick to pull the right shoulder back. And then I'm going to drop the head and release upper trapezius there. And gently let go. Come back to child's pose. Weave the hands around back behind you. And from here, roll yourself up, curl up the toes. Rock back to sitting on the heels. So there's obviously a lot more we can do, but feel free to pause the recording if you want to keep getting upside down, if you're just feeling warmed up. If you feel like maybe you've reached the point of diminishing returns, sometimes you're better off to save your energy for the next session or switching gears. I'll offer one more releasing pose and then we'll head towards stillness. But again, if you just feel fired up, feel free to stop the video and keep following that inspiration. So in contrast, mostly what we did was spend a lot of time firing up the arms, reaching overhead, curling the core and lengthening the hamstrings. So just to contrast that a little bit, notice how I'm sitting side saddle. I'm going to point my toes, I'm going to bring the heel in, and notice how I'm falling away from my front leg. So my head is melting back. I'm looking for this long line here, continuing into the back hip. So subtly starting to get some extension into that back hip. And at first, I'm just going to reach around, really sparky fingers across the room, using my right glute, or excuse me, left glute to press the left hip forward. And then slowly roll back. And then this time, I'm going to drive up. So I don't know how well you can see that back knee. My back knee is going to push down. I'm going to reach up. And I'm going to reach up into a little back bend as I continue this stretch and this line through here. And then this arm, we spent a lot of time reaching overhead. So I'm going to take my flying arm and I'm going to wrap it around my back and open the throat back. I love this pose because it's really adaptable to meet you where you're at if you just came from a strong core position, or if you're already warmed up for deeper back bends, you can make it way fancier than it is right now. And go ahead and ease on back down, and we'll switch. So again, first I'm just sitting on one side, so my left leg's in front of me, my heels are going to come in. If my left leg's in front, my left hand's going to fall behind as I reach back, pushing that knee away, rolling the thigh open, and reaching across. Just kind of finding a refreshing twist and finding some length through that right hip. And coming back. And this time, reaching up, pushing through the knees, sprouting up, and then taking this flying arm, instead of going overhead, I'm going to wrap it around my back. I'm going to wrap it around behind and play with the neck. You can look up or look down. And just start to extend the hips rather than all that closed core, rather than all those forward folds. Roll it down. Good. Then come to sitting just for a second. And just again, just to counter overhead. So upper trapezius is no doubt working like crazy. It's not a bad muscle, but we just want to tell it to chill out now. So I'm going to go palms up like I'm holding a plate. I'm going to pick myself up at the back of my throat, and then I'm going to imagine that whatever I'm holding is super heavy. I'm actually going to crawl my shoulders down my back, so I'm depressing my scapula as I lift through the throat. And the hands are going to come back a little bit, and I'm going to continue to keep seeking those elbows closer down. I'm crawling my shoulders down my back, actively depressing the scapula as I lift the throat in contrast. And gently explore the neck and maybe tick-tock the ears. And massaging out the silhouette of those shoulders and up into SCM. And taking any other little releases you'd like to. So being upside down is super stimulating. As you come down to stillness, maybe resting in Shavasana on the floor, maybe establishing a seated meditation practice now. Consciously drop the grip in the core. So all those hollow bodies is great, they're great for strength, but you don't want to leave your breath up in the chest all day. So let your belly soften. Using the stimulation of that handstand practice to become really aware and receptive. You can be fully awake and yet relaxed. Awareness does not indicate stress or action. Awareness is just fully here. So using that stimulus to inform this conscious connection as you relax and open and just stay.